Welcome everyone. Good evening. Welcome to today's NGI Pop Talk. I think this is the first one we are having for year 2023. And we are so excited to have every one of you joining us this evening and promise to be amazing. All right. But first of all, before we move on, I would like to introduce every one of us to NGIN and what we do at NGIN. NGIN is a global network. NGIN is a global network for with and by next generation agricultural leaders. Our aim is to empower youth in agriculture and related fields by including them right from the start. Together, we can create a structure, programs, and community to unlock resources and energy for transforming impact towards the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. NGIN is inclusive to all relevant sectors, farmers, business, academics, think tank, NGOs, international organizations, politics, and most importantly, the next generation of agricultural leaders. And NGI gives young change makers a voice, a vote, and a role in the ecosystem for impact. We have some other coalition members, which probably you must have seen in our flyers. All right, but without wasting much time this evening, I would like to welcome our first speaker for today, which is Matos. I think Matos, you can take over from here.
Thank you, Kenneth, and thank you everyone for joining us. Before I start with sharing a certain bunch of information that we have prepared for you, I want to make sure you can hear me okay, you can see me okay, you can see the presentation okay as well.
Yes, we can.
Superb. I'm sorry about those unexpected problems. Suddenly Zoom kicked me out. I am back, right?
Yes, you are back.
Sorry about that. And it just reminds us how big of a blessing technology is. Once again, you can see me, you can hear me, you can see the presentation. Super. So as advertised in this invitation to this co-creator webinar between NGIN and the Farm of Francesco, we would like to share a short but we hope comprehensive perspective on regenerative agriculture being part of the solution to numerous crises that we are envisioning and being affected by, and how we do that at Farm of Francesco, as well as what the benefits of this approach are. This session will be later listened to farmers by farmers around the world who will be following some of the educational courses we as Farm of Francesco are preparing. So warm welcome to those listening to us at the later point in time. And in this short presentation, I have three major areas to share with all of us. Motivation, why engage in regenerative agriculture, basic principles, what are the principles of regenerative agriculture, and what are the benefits that regenerative agriculture or that way of production generates, or some of the benefits. So without further ado, moving to motivation. We at the Farm of Francesco start with stopping, taking a breath, and saying, hey, what is the reality around us? And that includes the reality of a farmer that you can see on the picture, and his crop, sometimes successful, sometimes failing because of environment, maybe because of some other reasons. And the reality, both the face of the other and the environmental reality of all of us who constitute the Farm of Francesco team. So that assessment and that call made us come together and act, which we understand a lot of those of you joining us today and listening to us later are also motivated to act. In our particular case, that action was channeled thanks to an invitation Pope Francis issued to people all around the world in his encyclical Laudato Si, to hear and, most importantly, to respond to the cry of the earth and cry of the poor. We'll talk about that a little bit later, that a very present perspective of thinking about the challenges we are facing right now and regenerative agriculture is the environmental perspective, and very much it is a key perspective, but maybe even more so the social perspective, seeing the face of the other and taking it from environment to social is the step that often is missing, and that we as the Farm of Francesco would like to bring to the table together with other actors. So this is the call that we've been invited to, and youth from all around the world, me included, and the Farm of Francesco team, some of us are joining us in this call, responded to that answer of Pope Francis, or sorry, to that invitation of Pope Francis, to come together in Assisi in March 2020 to respond to the cry of the earth, cry of the poor. As we all know, something that unites us beyond eating food, hopefully 3 times per day, and eating nutritious and healthy food, is COVID. So we couldn't meet with Pope and with other young people from all around the world in Assisi in March 2020. But we stayed not only connected, but stayed working in online forums, which created the Farm of Francesco. Yes, the Farm of Francesco is rooted in, once again, the assessment of the reality around us and driving action to respond to this reality. We do that by 2 major areas of work. One are on-the-ground projects, and that specifically right now involves delivering a project in Nigeria in a location of Ibadan. And actually, we right now have last of the few days, we have one of the last few days, the applications for farmer training that we will be running next month in Ibadan open. So I guess my colleagues will be able to share the link to that farmer training with everyone in the chat. And if you are a farmer from Ibadan area who would like to take part in this training, please answer our call. And we also support farmers in sharing their voices and their perspectives, different processes connected with food system transformation and climate change mitigation adaptation, like COP26 or 7, 8 right now, or UN Food System Summit. So this is the Farm of Francesco, and this is some of the activities that we have done on the ground. Our project in Nigeria with our colleague Rita, working on composting on her own farm, and us meeting with a farmer friend in Germany. Which brings me to the second part of our presentation, talking about basic principles or key principles of regenerative agriculture. When talking about principles of regenerative agriculture, we always like to start with a frame of mind. And the frame of mind is that regenerative agriculture is about stewarding the ecosystem that is much bigger than the farm itself, that has been entrusted to all of us, or in this particular case, to the farmer, who is a steward of that ecosystem. That ecosystem was there before him. It will hopefully move to his children. The question is, how can we steward that ecosystem so that handing over is happening in a better shape than the ecosystem that we have that has been entrusted in us. An ecosystem comprises of ecosystem services that this ecosystem generates, like production of food or cleaning water or ability to rest in that ecosystem. In turn, are being delivered by cycles of nature that are cycling or that are present in ecosystem itself. So regenerative agriculture is about balancing numerous dimensions of the reality that is present. First and foremost, let's not forget about that. Farmers are businesses wherever they are in the world, and their goal is to make money. Things have to be economically viable. They also have environmental, this is the dimension that we will be talking about, and social dimensions, together with maybe other dimensions that you might identify in your own operations and you might want to increase, i.e. regenerate. And while all those perspectives are very important, the environmental perspective, or thinking about regenerative agriculture as having impact on the environment in which the farm is located, hopefully enhancing cycles of nature, is the perspective that we like to think about when implementing our projects. And so, thanks to our friends from Soil Capital, we know there are five main dimensions on which you as farmer can act in order to run your farm in a regenerative way. And we'll be going from left to right in case of existing farm, or if you are designing a new farm in an area that is virgin, i.e. no farm is embedded there, we suggest going from right to left when assessing your regenerative reality. So starting with optimization of agricultural input use, rule number one, do not apply when you are not needing your inputs, either seeds or crop protection or fertilization or feed when you are running a livestock operation. But sometimes, which is often a forgotten point, when, for example, your pH is very low, you should apply in order to unlock the productive potential of that land. So optimization of agricultural input use is dimension number one. Number two, minimalization of tillage with stopping of plowing, especially when thinking about carbon cycle. Regenerative agriculture is rooted in soil health, and this practice, together with the package of other practices, leads to soil health being there and increasing as well. So minimalization of tillage is practice number two. Practice number three, connected with the previous one, is keeping the soil covered, hopefully with living roots, for as long of the year as possible, and hopefully for a full 365 days a year. And techniques there that might be implemented on a particular farm include cover crops or service crops, more advanced agroforestry systems, or when your system is more advanced, you might talk about agroforestry systems, or as you can see on the left, our friends from the Land Institute that I encourage you to look further into are developing perennial crops, perennial wheat, perennial oilseed, and perennial vegetables that can be sown once and harvested multiple years after that seeding, keeping the soil cover literally 365 days a year. Second to last practice or dimension that we would like to think about when talking about regeneration is maximization of biodiversity, understood as within field biodiversity. So is your rotation there? How varied it is? Around field, like, hey, are you stewarding and enhancing, hopefully, biodiversity around your field? And then having this more ecosystemic perspective, how is biodiversity stewarded and hopefully enhanced on my ecosystem scale? Which leads to the final dimension, looking at the farm and designing in such a way that it's embedded specifically in the ecosystem that farm is part of. And some examples here include terracing the fields, either to produce crops on those terraces, or, as I've learned recently in Peru, apparently, farmers created terraces, not to farm all of them, but to manage water, to improve or increase water retention in those upper levels, so that when they are farming at the lower levels, that water slowly trickles down. And you don't, if you do this right, you don't have the situation which you see here with this tractor getting stuck while applying, I guess, nitrogen fertilizer in early spring, because you are not fighting with ecosystem and cycles that are present, but instead are farming in a way that is not creating this fight. Which brings me to the last part of the presentation, talking about benefits. benefits are multiple, some of which include or start with economic dimension, so cutting your costs. We talk about optimization of input use, increasing your profitability, lowering your risk financially speaking, and also environmentally speaking. When you optimize your input use, you have by default lower environmental input. You can also increase your environmental input, for example, by your environmental results by, for example, taking away part of your land from production that is always wet, as we saw on this photo of a tractor getting stuck, and for example, creating nature reserve in there, which means you are not spending money on plowing and so on, that every single year, while your biodiversity increases. You do have social results that are multiple as well, coming from Pope Francis dimension. You also see faith or spiritual benefits that I know a lot of, especially early adopters when it comes to regenerative agriculture, subscribe to. Like, this is a value, this is a benefit that many of regenerative farmers that we know really started with. Faith was an inspiration and motivation, and maybe this is the same for you listening to us, or one of your future regenerative agriculture farmers. And let us draw a circle to where we started, seeing the face of the other, right? Like, we are very privileged to be working with farmers around the world and seeing the face changing, and like, hey, that was my reality. Now it's a different reality, a better reality, more resilient, regenerative reality is really what it's worth, why it's worth working in that dimension. Finally, I would like to draw your attention, and I guess links should be shared in the chat by my colleagues, to the result of all of that, which is on the environmental dimension. Once implemented at scale, we could be talking about something that Sir Dasgupta is inviting us to achieve, which is reversing natural capital loss, basically, on which we all depend. And as it is right now, that natural capital is decreasing. We need to find ways of running our economy that are positively correlated with stewarding and enhancing natural capital, and regenerative agriculture definitely is part of the solution to that, as we've argued at the beginning of the presentation. So with that, I thank you for your attention, and I turn over to Kenneth to take us through the next part of this session. You are muted, Kenneth. I think we have some connection problems with Kenneth. Kenneth,
oh, sorry. Thank you very much for that session. Awesome presentation. So without wasting time at all, we can start getting our questions. If you have questions, you can start sending your questions. We'll love to take questions. Right. We'll love to take questions without wasting time at all. But I think before we
can't hear you, Kenneth.
Kenneth, you are mute.
I think Kenneth has some connectivity problems.
Yes. So with that said, let me step into Kenneth's role as a moderator, and I would like to thank you, Sander. I would like to invite Jorge Lopez Mendez, one of the co-founders and past CEO of WARC Group, that took technology from Argentina, where Jorge is originally from, and which has an amazing story to tell when it comes to no-till system and application of that no-till system, to West Africa, supporting regenerative agriculture development there, and tangibly improving livelihoods of numerous people. So I understand we have a presentation coming up that I hope will be shared now. And over to you, Jorge. Thank you for being with us. And back to you, Kenneth, when Jorge is done with his presentation. Glad to have you back.
Okay.
Over to you, Jorge.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me try to transmit my experience of around 10 years in Africa. The first thing I have to tell you in the next one is that the potential in Africa is there for sure. If we can see, we can find all this kind of situation today in well, this example is Ghana, but if you see, we can move forward to the right part of the situation. So the first thing we have to say is that Africa have all the potential. I'm sure that in the future, Africa will feed the world. Today, they cannot feed themselves, but the situation for them is in the future is really positive. But a really bad important thing is if we don't put it in the correct way. Let me show you the next one. If we not do it in the right way, we will have a big problem, because the situation in Africa is that we have strong rains, high temperatures. So if we not do it in the correct way, we have a big erosion there. And the farmers know that if we lose the first 5 centimeters, we lose all the potential of the production. So this is a really important part, and I can show you a lot of examples around Africa. If you don't do it in the correct way, you lose all the possibility for the future. So if we can see the next one, what we are doing in Africa. Work Group is a organization that have 10 years in Africa, especially in Sierra Leone and Ghana, but we have in other places some consulting things and starting to make the same success that we have in these two countries. The first thing we have to do for sure is to take the machinery. So you see there that we have planting machines of no-till planters and roller choppers that avoid, we stop using the plow. In Africa, they use a lot the plow and the harrow. So the idea is to move forward for that situation to have no-till rotations and better land preparations. So the next one, we can see that another example of the potential of the soils. All the time I drink in mate, you can see there is a picture. But well, again, the farmers know that when the soils are black, we have a lot of organic materials. For sure, here we can see that we use the harrow. The idea is to make the first step is harrowing. We don't have another possibility, because the other situation is what they are doing today, that they burn all the top vegetables they have there. So the first thing is we have to stop the people in Africa. They put fire because it's more easy for land preparation, and the idea is to stop that fires and then go through the no-tillage. The next one. So the thing in Africa is that we have all the environment. We have good rains, good temperatures, good soils. And the most important thing for me is that we find a lot of farmers with plenty energy. So definitely the people are ready to learn. And we have the good news about no develop in these countries is they don't destroy the soils, because in the past was really the common thing is to plow and harrow. And again, in this environment is a really bad decision to make. So we find farmers, we have environment that is perfect, is good for production. We have farmers that want to move forward, and believe me, when they see that the benefits of doing this, they go straight to no-till. They go straight to stop the fires. So the people are open to learn. The next one, please. So the big important thing is research and extension. In these countries, you can imagine that we don't have information at all. We don't even have the rain precipitation of a year. When we have the rains, the temperature, we don't have nothing. So the first thing we do there was to start research and extension. That's why a president organization that of Argentina that definitely they have all the experience to take the experience of Argentina to Africa. So we are working with them. We are working with SIAT. We are working with all the organizations that are trying to help Africa. And the most important is, again, is we need to take all the good examples in the world that have success to take it to Africa. For sure, we need to adapt to their environment, but it's definitely important to have the information. And the best thing is to do research in their farms. Is the only way. So the next one, please. Another important thing is definitely in Africa, all around the world, they never believe you if they don't see it. A farmer believes another farmer. They don't believe us to take it in a small room and take all the experience and show pictures. And no, they needed to do it in their farms. I can say my example. When I was in Argentina studying, I tell to my father we have to move to no-till farming, and he say, okay, if you say that is a correct way, okay, show me in the last plot on the farm. So he gave me the worst plot in the farm, and I start showing him how this technology is better. So imagine that my father don't trust me in the first point. Imagine a farmer in Africa that the decision of farm, all the family is a decision of having the food for the family. So if we don't show first what is the new technology given to them, it's really difficult them to believe. The next one, please. So, but we believe that when we have a problem, we have an opportunity. And Africa, believe me, next one, please, that the problem is big. So the opportunity is huge. We believe on that. So we start making our own experience how to make this happen. Next one, pin, please. So how we find solutions? We find solutions making plenty mistakes. We are around 10 years in Africa, and believe me that we make a lot of mistakes. But we believe that is the only way to find the solution for their environment. Again, we cannot make a copy-paste. Argentina have an environment, Brazil have another one, Poland have another one, US have another one. For sure, in that place, if we can find solution that can be bring to Africa. But until we don't go to their farms and try the different option we have, we cannot find the correct decision. Please, the next one. But we find some key that I think that in all the countries, for sure Africa, but I believe in all around the world, we have a lot of things that works in every part. The first thing we have to think is about no-till system. We base all the production in no-till. We believe in no-till, and we can tell the success history of Argentina that have 30 years old about applying this technology. And the second is we have to give sustainability to this new technology, and have to be social, have to be economical and environment. How we make the economical, that for me is important, because if the farmer have money in their pocket, he can choose which technology to use. But if you find a farmer that is only of trying to feed their families, it's really difficult to them to understand that we can make the things different. And for sure the environment. We have to keep all that soil cover. We need to lower the temperatures of the soils. We have to have living soils. We cannot destroy burning the soils or using the plow. And another point really for me really important is the intensification. We need to have 2 or at least more than one crop. And this is why the importance of intensification is the families that are farmers, they have to have a cash crop. For sure, they have to have food for their families first, it's the first thing. And the next step is to have cash crops, so they can move forward about all that I was telling before. So it's really important, the intensification of the thing. The next one, please. So we need the technologies in their communities. Again, farmer to farmer, you have to be there. We put in their communities, we make hubs So we have all the interaction with them every single day. Sorry. So the technology is available for them. So we check the machinery there, we check the research there, we are with them every single day discussing about better solutions. Next one, please. So we have to take the technology to their farms. We have to be a farmer on their farms, and we have to show them what are all these technologies that are really nice to hear, but we need to show them in their farms. Next one, please. So here we can see a video that is farmers, woman farmers, that they're really happy because it's the first time that they get 3 tons per hectare. Imagine that they come from 300 kilos per hectare to move 10 times more their production. So, well, the video is not working, but they are really happy because it was a combination of having new varieties, date of planting, better population, well, for sure, no till. So all this, after 3 or 4 years, they start seeing the results. And for us, it's really important that, because if they move forward about being subsistence farmers, we can make things better. The last one, please. So we believe that we cannot take all technologies. We cannot take Oxem or, I don't know, all technologies that we are not using anymore in our countries. So definitely we have to move forward, and we have to take the last technology. We don't have to take, I don't know, all technologies, or no, we have to take the best technology we have in Argentina and US, in Brazil, in Europe. We have to take that technology. It's not that the solution will not be with all technologies. And well, the last one, thank you very much. And something that we believe is that the land is not a heritage; it's the loan for our children. So we have to take care of this important thing for all the humanity. Thank you very much.
Gosh, thank you very much for that session, Lopez. Awesome presentation. Thank you very much. I think we could, every one of us can just on the comment section just drop your thank you very much and your favorite emojis. Thank you very much for that awesome presentation. But without wasting much time, we would love to go straight to the questions. I have some questions here with me already. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Let's just appreciate the two speakers. Oh yes, thank you very much. Thank you for that awesome presentation. Awesome. Thank you very much. So without wasting much time, let's go straight to the question and answer, the Q&A. First of all, there's a debate going on that some people believe that regenerative agriculture is taking us backward. What do you think? What's your take about that debate? There's a debate generally that a lot of people believe, or some persons believe, that regenerative agriculture is taking us backward. That we are supposed to be making progress forward, but it seems like we are going backward, looking at some of the practices that comes up with regenerative agriculture. So let's hear from you guys. What do you think? Any of you can take the floor and just answer the question.
Jorge, would you like to go first and I go second? I'm happy to go first. So, as with every debate, it's super important to recognize the debate and not be like, hey, you are wrong, we are right. If there's a debate, there are emotions involved, and recognizing that and like, as we've been sharing, and it's very present in Jorge's presentation as well, seeing the face of the other person and building a bridge is the starting point that comes to my mind.
Great.
From my personal experience of the Farm of Francesco, of being a farmer in Poland and of working with farmers from different parts of the world, benefits of regenerative agriculture are very clear. And regenerative agriculture done well, or regenerative agriculture as such, like, is not taking us forward, is delivering the results that Jorge was sharing, the results that we've been talking about, I've been talking about. So my side in that debate is clear, and I am very privileged to be able to bring numerous examples of proving why I'm on the side of the debate that I am on. And very often, because of the lack of the first point, which is acknowledging there's a debate and trying to say, like this camp is right, the other camp, whatever the other camp is wrong, we don't build a bridge, which is a problem. And then when it comes to the technicalities, for me, regenerative agriculture is a no-brainer. Curious to hear what you think, Jorge.
Yeah, sorry, I was mute. No, definitely, I agree with you. I have to tell that you have in the other side fanatics and people that are really in a strong position. So we have to be clever not to put in the other side. I think we have to work all together. We have to show that, like I put in my presentation, is the 3 points. Regenerative agriculture take care about the environment, take care about the poorness and the hunger in Africa, my point of view. But I think that every farmer around the world needs to produce more food and more cheap the food for that. And for sure, social, because if we in Africa put under production all the land, people have jobs, we have developed, agriculture is the best way we can do it. No discussion. So we have to have patience, talk to them, and well, the main challenges of making this regenerative agriculture is that maybe you need some time. It's not magic. So again, I discuss with my father, I have to show him, and this takes time. So we have to be patient. And sometimes you don't have time. For example, in Africa, you have a big problem of hunger. So it's difficult, but we show our example that we can do it. So be patient.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Hello, can you still hear me? Thank you very much. Okay, there's another question here that says, what are some of the main disadvantages and challenges you've encountered? Hello, can you still hear me? Yes.
Yes, loud and clear all the time.
Okay, great. So there's a question here that says, what are some of the main challenges and disadvantages in regenerative agriculture? What are some of the main disadvantages and challenges you've encountered in regenerative agriculture?
I start. Well, again, the big challenge is that we need time. We need time and we need to show the benefits. So it's difficult to discuss without showing that the technology have benefits for the farmers, because at the end of the day, they are the people that are doing it in their lands. So the big challenge is to show this technology, to give examples, and the farmers have to have benefits for sure.
Awesome. Great. So there's another question here. Matzo, do you want to throw more light on that? Before I take the next question, sorry.
Like Jorge said, the core of the answer, maybe to move from like to add actionable points to that. Two major thoughts from my end. Very often I'm speaking with farmers who are farming on the leased land, which is providing like an additional, let's say, challenge or incentive to compromise long term for the short term benefit. So it's important to recognize that, and once again coming back to the social call of going out to your landlord and having conversation, educating, and saying like, hey, I have a choice of doing what makes sense economically right now to me, or would we like to take a little bit more longer view and really have a partnership relationship so that I can do something that is right for basically your children, as Jorge was saying, so that this land is stewarded and hopefully passed on to them in a better shape than what it is right now. So that's the first thought. And the second thought is, I also found it very useful to identify a farmer in the community that is leading. Like in Poland, where I'm from, you would have some of the farmers testing more or less sophisticated forms of of no-till or minimum tillage, while other farmers are not willing to take the financial risk it takes to experiment with those modes of production, right? And once again, going out to that farmer or him or her and asking, hey, like, how is it working for you? Because it's clear, as once again Jorge mentioned in his amazing presentation, you will make mistakes along the way, like will fail, and the point is not to fail, but the point is to be sharing that so that we can fail less going forward and we can achieve better results faster. And the best time, as I've learned from my recent trip to Argentina to learn about the pre-seed model and no-till system, is now, because the biggest input in the no-till system or in regenerative agriculture is time. And yes, you can be starting in a year, but you will be 1 year late. So if there's the best time to start, the best time to start is now. Over to you, Kenneth.
Awesome. All right. A quick question again too. How do we start? Now we've talked about regenerative agriculture. How do we promote regenerative farming when they are not directly benefiting to farmers? For instance, premium price, government policies, and support from governments and others. How do we start promoting regenerative farming?
Well, let me start with this. I think that we don't have to wait until the governments or people making decisions try to support this kind of agriculture. For sure, again, I'm talking about Africa because it's a thing that I was working the last 10 years. But the good news is that we don't need them. And another good news is that if we show them that we are doing in the correct way, I believe that all the funds that go for supporting this environment problem we're having around the world, a lot of funds will go to Africa or to the places that we are farming. So that is a second good news. So when that comes, again, the importance of time is really the key of this. More funding, more faster we are going to go. More machineries, more funding. More funding will help us to move forward. So we don't have to wait until the governments or other organizations support us or pay us something, an extra thing of doing our regenerative agriculture. For sure, it will be an amazing news, and we are fighting for that. But we can do it without them. So I believe on that. We don't have to wait until they give us something to show them we are part of the solution. We are not part of the problem. First discussion we have to win is that, because a lot of people believe that the farmers are part of the problem. So the first thing we have to show them is that we are part of the solution. So if we show them that part, the things will continue their way.
Yeah, and building on that, this is precisely what is happening, right? Like the model of claiming back, because nobody else can do that for you, your agency. Like, hey, you as a farmer, you are a steward of ecosystem and you are the leader of that farm, that business, that operation, probably, or that's what you are invited to. You are the leader of that, or one of the leaders of that community that your farm is embedded in. Like you have a privilege and a task to show that leadership, and that also includes, communication with your government or whatever the stakeholder that you think you should be communicating to enact change is. And Jorge is doing that in Africa. APRESID members are doing that in Argentina. A lot of the farmers, including our farm, are doing that in Europe, and we are bringing those results and those arguments, coming back to the debate, to our not only policymakers but also to the consumers and other groups of the society. And let me just give a very recent example. Today, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary Vilsack, is meeting with EU Commissioner of Agriculture Wojciechowski, who's the Minister of Agriculture of the EU, and Secretary Vilsack is, if you will, Minister of Agriculture of the US. And because of the work I've been doing in international processes representing farmers, including wearing the Farm of Francesco hat. One of the leaders of agriculture in the US, who's working at the farmer organization, is calling me yesterday to say like, hey, my vice chair is meeting with your Secretary of Agriculture. Let's talk so that together we can show leadership cases both from the US and from the EU, so that we can showcase that leadership and through that, let's say, level the playing field, like encourage both US and the EU to do more. And if not, basically doing the work that we've been doing before, nobody would have called me, right? Because I wouldn't have her number in my phone. She wouldn't know about me. Whereas now you have the opportunity and you don't know what the outcome will be, but you respond to that call. And the first call of a farmer is to, as we've argued in our presentation, is to steward the ecosystem that you are in, because you are, as Jorge mentioned, you are leasing that or borrowing that from the future generations, and you can be a leader. That's the invitation.
Great. I think this is awesome. But there's a question here. Somebody is asking: Are you challenges about changing the management of chemistry of soil, about of lime availability? I don't know what, but there's a question in the comment section. Somebody is asking that. I think he's trying to say, are you changing the management of the chemistry of the soil, about of the lime available?
I think the question is from Luis. I don't know whether you are able to unmute yourself, Luis, and maybe ask this question live, for example. Yeah. I can guess what you try to say, but if you want to say it, then I think you have the floor.
So I will be clear.
I can try an answer. I believe that he's talking about the acid soils that we can find, and well, definitely with lime or with other products we can manage that problem. That at the end of the day we have less production because of this. So all the technologies that we can use that works in other parts, we have to take it to and find a solution for that. I think that was talking about.
I think I understood his question similarly, and once again I will be coming back to the example that I know, which is Poland, right? Like very often the narrative of agriculture in Poland is, hey, we need to produce more and more and more, and like use this very fine-tuned like chemical to help protect our crop, or this fertilizer because it's so amazing. Whereas pH of most of the soils and soil health is really, really low, right? So you are trying to chase like a holy grail without looking at the basics. And it's important to keep those things in perspective. Like this is something that comes to my mind when we talk about liming.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, let's run very fast. There's not so much time on our side, but there's still some questions with me. I think this is for Lopez. He said, as you are from Argentina and working in Africa, how do you make sure that the practice you work with in Argentina will Africa? How are you making Africa accepting the same practice you once worked with in Argentina?
Well, again, I believe in action. I'm a farmer, so I believe in action. So we have to be with the farmers in Africa. We have to adapt the technologies for their environment and realities. It's not easy, but I think that is the only way. If somebody find a better way, for sure I will let me know, because you have to put a lot of energy. You have to show them. You have to be in their farms, and to be in their farms is to be every single day with them. Not go there 2-3 times a year, and that. No, we have to be there on their communities, listen to them, And well, I believe, and we already have the results that the technology using in another part of the world for sure will work in Africa. It's not a copy paste again, but the solution we have in other part of the world. And for sure, farming is a continued progress. We have new technologies and people making research and better varieties and better machines. So it's continue develop, and we have to show all these technologies to the people of farming, and at the end of the day, they will choose. But if they have better results, they take care about the environment. For sure, it's a win-win situation, and will happen. So action is it.
Are you experiencing any difficulties in passing this knowledge to them in Africa?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Are you experiencing any difficulties in passing this knowledge, these technologies to them in Africa?
Plenty. But we have to have creativity and find a way to do it. For example, I can give you an example. At the beginning, we start having a good result in rice in Sierra Leone, but they didn't pay us all the help that we are giving to them. For sure, they are with the family with hunger. We cannot push them to pay us. The first thing is to feed their families. But we start seeing that they have really good productions. So they need 500 kilos per year to feed their families. And we go to their farms and they get 2 tons or 3 tons of rice. So we start asking them, why you didn't sell to us the rice, so you can get better technologies and you can produce more hectares or buy a tractor. And the answer was really clear, and we cannot say nothing. They tell me, I in the past, my family have hunger. I will not sell you 1 single kilo of rice. And I go to their houses and was full of rice. So what was the solution for that? We push them to start making for sure rice, and then to make a cash crop. So a cash crop after a rice, we start making maize, we start making soybeans, we start making beans. And that for sure, they sell all to us. So they start having money, better food, and another thing that I take in my presentation, to make the no-till is not only the planter, it's a system. So intensification of the land is perfect. Again, like Matthew says, we keep green more time the soils, so we have living soils. So you are all the year with some crops growing in the farm, and that is better for the system.
You are muted.
You are muted, Kenneth.
Yeah, but
okay, great. So there is another question here, still for Lopez.
I was raising my hand.
Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. It was not really a question, and I just wanted to chip in because
Okay.
Oge, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, let me just say Oge. He already brushed about what I wanted to say. I was really going to applaud the presentations that I listened to and the experiences that have been shared by our presenters on the work that they are doing in terms of spreading the news and doing the work that it involves, especially when it comes to Africa. So I'm African, I'm from Nigeria, and the work that has been done in Sierra Leone and that example that you just gave is amazing. The fact that they're already seeing results. So I wanted to really applaud the work because I believe that you must have experienced resistance in terms of, getting farmers to join you to do this kind of regenerative agriculture. And I also wanted to ask for, those kinds of examples and what do you need, what is important for you to be able to go forward to take this kind of experience that you have built a system from countries like Sierra Leone to be able to now transfer it to countries like Nigeria, where I'm from, and how to move forward from here.
Well, I can take this. I have a lot of friends in Nigeria. We are part of the Global Farmer Network. And again, I have to tell you again, it's not easy. We will make a lot of mistakes, but we have to make action, and we have success histories in Nigeria too. So we have to continue putting in touch, working together. Farmers have to be together. We have to take this technology all the farms that we can. And again, the last decision is a farmer, and the farmer is in the land every single day, and we have to give the tools to make it happen. And when I say the tools, is the knowledge, is the machinery, is the variety of seeds, is the hybrid, is the last technology that we are using in other part of the world, taking it there. It's not easy, but I think that is the only way, is to push and make mistakes and continue and find the way where that environment make it. Is the only way.
And I think that's rooted in partnerships, like I'm often participating in ideas are coming to me of like, hey, let's make something huge. It will take, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, 1 year, and like the results will be tremendous. And I often laugh or like always laugh at those proposals, because you will make mistakes. Things are very challenging very often, or you will get into challenging situations and realities. And unless you have a true partnership rooted in trust, in seeing the other person, in not only trying to make money, but to do the right thing, like you are trying to do that with certain values that you share, caring about those who you don't have to care about, but you choose to care about, either, you know, the poor, like the people, or the environment, and or both ideally. Yeah, the things are possible. It takes a lot to get there, but you do have amazing leaders achieving that already, and I think, and we at the Farm of Francesco think that everybody is called to that, to basically be a leader.
Thank you so much.
Please unmute, Kenneth.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I have 4 questions here, but I think 2 are very critical that I will take. First one is to Lopez. Sorry, I think that's more comfortable for me. Sorry. Okay, he says, we have heard that no-tilling farming increases the chances of weeds, and thus you need more chemicals while farming. How does this affect the farmers in Africa with proper little access to chemicals?
Well, yes, big question. We are trying to check the inputs to the farmers. I am really positive about humanity. You know, humanity. Sorry, we are finding better solutions for problems that we have. So we are using better chemistry. We start using biological things with really good results. We are taking all the bad poison chemistry from the production. In Argentina, we have plenty new products that are better for the environment. They take care, really, they have a good conscience of finding a solution for this. We believe on that. We believe in the science to find better production, cheaper production, and for sure, not to destroy the environment. We are working on that. Again, I really believe in the biologic products that we are finding a lot of solutions with good results, cheaper, and well, better for the environment. So we need to trust and believe in the science. I believe on that, and we need to find a way to take it to the farmer. That's for sure. So that's why we put hubs in all around the communities that we are working, so they can ask for inputs. We can check the inputs there, so the farmer can get it. And the responsibility that we have is to check the good products there, not the one that we are not using anymore in Argentina or in US or in Europe. We have to find the new ones that are better for the environment.
Yeah, once again, talking about leadership, and it's important to think about, to have the frame of mind, not focus on actions like, hey, if I do no-till, meaning if I use the specific seeder, then I'm all good. It's about the system, and it's about the results that the system is generating. And it's important to have tools in the system. For example, latest crop protection technology is one of those tools if you choose not to be an organic farmer, or that's a decision that you're making. But then it's not the tool, it's the why. Like, hey, I'm using that in order to protect the, for example, soil organic carbon that I have in my soil, because alternative would be plowing that land, and I choose to do this over this. Intentionality is a big word there.
Great. All right, so let's take the last question here. It says, what would you suggest, or let me put it this better, what would be your advice to farmers who shows willingness to transit to regenerative farming from conventional farming, knowing fully well that regenerative farming require calculated risk? So what would be your advice to a farmer want to transit from conventional farming to regenerative agriculture, knowing fully well that regenerative agriculture involves some calculated risk for small and marginal farmers, as their livelihood depends totally on small piece of land? What would be your advice?
Let me ask quickly, small and consist. We cannot give advice. We need to show them the benefits of doing this. I believe that giving advice to small farmers is choking and nothing, because again, they are taking decision to feed their families. So somebody from Argentina come and give them a lot of nice advices, they go back to their farms and they will be they have to be sure that the decision is correct, because it's a life decision. If they don't have success, they have hunger. So advice, I don't believe in that.
Okay.
Yeah, I also have a view of results speaks, or actions speak 1,000 words, if not more. And I think this is what we try to showcase in this session as well. But if there is one, maybe not advice, but invitation, start now. And your starting point can be very small, like thinking, and should be very small, like thinking about your ecosystem, like, hey, do I know what kind of ecosystem services are present? What is my contribution, positive, negative, both, to those? What are cycles of nature? How am I stewarding water? How am I stewarding biodiversity? How am I stewarding carbon or carbon flow? And possibly also another invitation, going out to the farmer that you look up to, or that is doing something strange in your view, in your community, and having conversation with him or her. So open mind and action. And that is not an advice, that is an invitation.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome session. It's been an awesome session, from the presentation, so the question and answer. Awesome presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are really grateful. But before we begin to bring it to an end, I would like us to welcome Nelly to give a closing speech. So bring this webinar to an end. It's been an awesome. Thank you very much. I've learned so much as regarding regenerative agriculture this evening. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kenneth. And thank you for having me. I have not prepared any speech, so it's going to be impromptu. Thank you for hosting me at the very end of your session. Thank you, Mateus and Jorge, for your excellent presentations. Very concise, to the spot, on the point, really important stuff. And yes, absolutely, we must change this system now. I mean, we all together must be taking steps now. You said it, seeing is believing, and we already know how to. We also have the tools, but not everyone has access. So it is an ecosystem. We need to be aware of that too. So within that ecosystem, of course, we have different demands, different needs, and different possibilities. And I do think so. One thing I would like to add to the conversation, in fact, I think it's not only up to the farmer. Of course, it's also up to everyone else in the system, the value chain, the processing, the consumers even. And it's also for the political sphere to make frameworks that allow for regenerative agricultural practice much more easily and allow for financing of the whole thing, etc. So I just wanted to say that and thank everyone for attending. Thank you for hosting this, NGIN ambassadors, and Farm of Francesco for the co-creation. That was awesome. And I'm looking forward to the next talk. Thank you.
Thank you,
Can't
everyone.
hear you, Kenneth. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Yeah.